I'm 83 now. People say I wasted my life. I don't argue with them anymore, but I don't agree either. It's a strange thing, reaching this age and hearing your whole life summarized in a sentence, usually from someone younger, someone still busy building theirs. They look at me and see what isn't there. No big house, no savings worth mentioning, no long list of accomplishments, no children visiting on weekends. They see absence and call it failure. I see something else. But I didn't always. These days I wake up before sunrise, not because I have somewhere to be, just because sleep doesn't hold me like it used to. I sit by the window with a cup of tea that's gone lukewarm before I finish it. My hands shake a little now. Not enough to spill, just enough to remind me. There isn't much left ahead. I know that. I can feel it in my bones more than in my thoughts. And maybe that's why I've started talking, even if no one's really asking. I wasn't always like this. Quiet, still, certain in an uncertain way. In my 20s, I was expected. That's the only word that fits. Expected to become something. Expected to carry the weight my father couldn't. Expected to make sense of a life that already felt decided before I had a say. So I followed the path laid out in front of me, not because I believed in it, just because I didn't know what else to do. I got a job at a small office, nothing important, papers, ledgers, routine. The kind of work that fills your day but not your mind. I told myself it was temporary. Everything was temporary back then. I remember the smell of that place, ink and dust, the sound of chairs scraping the floor at exactly 5 in the evening. Men rushing out like they were escaping something, only to come back the next morning and sit in the same spot. I stayed longer than most, not because I was dedicated, just because I didn't have anywhere else I needed to be. There was a girl once. Of course there was. Her name was Farah. She worked in the office across the street. We used to cross paths at a tea stall around noon. It wasn't planned at first, but after a while, we both started showing up at the same time. We talked about small things, weather, work, the price of vegetables. It sounds meaningless now, but it wasn't. Not then. There was a lightness in those conversations, something easy, something that didn't ask anything from me. I think she liked me. I know I liked her. But liking someone and choosing them, those are two different things. She asked me once, very gently, what I wanted from life. Not in a demanding way, just curiosity. I didn't have an answer. And instead of admitting that, I said something vague, something safe. She nodded like she understood, but I could see it in her face, that she didn't. A few months later, she stopped coming to the tea stall. I heard she got engaged, moved away soon after. I told myself it was fine, that I wasn't ready anyway. I said that a lot in my life. I'm not ready. Years passed like that, quietly, without any big turning points. I kept working, different offices, same work. Papers changed, faces changed, but the rhythm stayed the same. Morning, evening, month to month, year to year. I never married, not because I couldn't. There were opportunities. My mother tried for a while, introduced me to a few families. I met some good women, kind, patient, willing. But every time it came close to becoming something real, I stepped back. I always had a reason. Money wasn't enough. Job wasn't stable. Timing wasn't right. They were all true in a way, but not the whole truth. The real truth was, I was waiting for something I couldn't name. Some feeling, some certainty, some sign that this was the life I was supposed to choose. It never came, and while I was waiting, life kept moving. My parents grew older, slower, quieter. I moved back home when my father fell ill. It wasn't a difficult decision. It felt like the right thing to do. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't drifting. I had a purpose. Taking care of him became my routine. Medicines, doctor visits, small conversations that didn't go very far because he was always tired. We didn't talk about anything important. Not really. I thought we had time for that. He passed away one afternoon while I was in the next room. No warning, no last words, just gone. I remember standing there looking at him, waiting for something to happen, for him to move, to say something, even just breathe, but nothing did. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet realization. Time doesn't wait for readiness. It doesn't pause until you feel certain. It just moves. My mother didn't last much longer after that. She tried, I think, but part of her had already left with him. When she passed, the house felt different. Not empty exactly, just finished, like a story that had reached its last page. I was in my 50s then, still working, still unmarried, still waiting in some way. That's when people started saying things more openly. You should have settled down. You wasted your best years. Who will be there for you when you're old? They weren't wrong. But they weren't entirely right either, because what they saw as wasted didn't feel that way to me. At least, not completely. I had time, a lot of it. Evenings that weren't rushed, weekends that belonged only to me, long walks with no destination, quiet meals without conversation. At first it felt like emptiness. Then slowly, it became something else. I started noticing things I hadn't before. The way light changes in the late afternoon, the sound of distant traffic at night, the small routines of strangers, the rhythm of my own thoughts when no one else was around. There's a kind of freedom in having no one waiting for you, no expectations to meet, no role to play. But it comes at a cost. There are no shared memories either, no one who remembers your younger face, no one who says, "You used to do this," or "Do you remember when?" Your life exists only in your own memory, and memory fades. I won't pretend I never felt the weight of that. There were nights it pressed down on me so heavily I couldn't sleep, times I wished I had chosen differently, that I had said yes when I kept saying not yet. But regret is a quiet thing. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it just sits with you. Over time, I stopped fighting it. I stopped trying to measure my life against what it could have been, because there's no end to that kind of thinking. No final answer, just more questions. And at some point, you get tired of asking. Now, when people say I wasted my life, I listen. I understand why they think that. From the outside, it looks like I missed everything that matters. No family, no legacy, no clear achievements. But they don't see the other side. They don't see the years I lived without pretending, the choices I made, even when they led me nowhere in particular, the quiet moments that didn't look important, but felt real. I didn't chase success, not really. I didn't build anything that will last after I'm gone. But I also didn't spend my life trying to become someone I wasn't. That counts for something, at least to me. Do I wish I had been braver? Yes. Do I wish I had taken more risks, loved more openly, committed when it mattered? Yes. There are things I will never experience now. A child calling my name, a partner sitting beside me in old age. The feeling of being remembered by someone who knew me deeply. Those are real losses. They don't disappear just because I've made peace with them. And I have made peace with them, in my own way. Not the kind of peace people talk about in books, a quieter kind. The kind that comes when you stop expecting your life to be anything other than what it is. I sit in this small room now with my old furniture and my slow routines, and I don't feel trapped. I feel unburdened. There's nothing left to prove, no one left to disappoint, no version of myself I'm still trying to become. Just this, just me. If you're listening to this, I don't have advice for you. I wouldn't know where to begin. Your life won't look like mine. It shouldn't. But I will say this, not as a lesson, just as something I've noticed. There is no perfect moment to choose, no clear sign that tells you this is the right path. You either step forward or you wait, and both come with their own kind of loss. I spent a lot of my life waiting, not doing nothing, but not fully choosing either. Some people would call that a mistake. Maybe it was, but it was mine. And now, at 83, I carry it without anger, just understanding. My time is short now. I can feel it in the way my body tires, in the way my days blur together more easily. It doesn't frighten me as much as I thought it would. There's a kind of quiet at the end of things, a stillness. I don't know what comes after this. I've stopped trying to guess. I just sit here most days and let the hours pass, not waiting anymore, just being here. And for the first time in my life, that feels enough.